what's up guys? Man, what a nice day it is today. Look at it. Just look at it. Hey, what's up guys? Man, what a nice day today. I can feel spring rapidly approaching. It's so amazing. But anyways, I'm standing here in front of this gorgeous piece of equipment. Crystal, 1983 K100 C model, big bunk, spring ride, nice long wheelbase, and soon to be running with a 3406E 5EK 750 horsepower, backed up by a 1.8 913A heavy haul transmission. We got 411 gears in it, but I've noticed that the front differential's in trouble along with the power divider, so we're probably going to source a set of 370s or something, because you know we just can't have Crystal not be able to run triple digits with the big dogs. But anyhow, today what I'm going to do is I'm just doing some finishing touches, getting rid of some old air, fuel, water lines. We might put the radiator in today. I'm going to take and drain some fuel out of the tank, see what kind of condition this is in. If I remember right, the fuel tank on this, I cleaned it out already. I think I pressure washed it inside and let the diesel fuel out and put some new diesel fuel in it, but I can't remember, so we're going to pop the bottom out, look and see what kind of condition the diesel's fuel in. It's not great. We're going to let it all out. We'll run it in the heater, and we'll put some new fuel in there because we're getting close to the point where it's time to see if she'll crank. But anyhow, let's get after some things today. And all right, so it's pretty uneventful. There's just an ever so slight bit of water in the bottom, which I understand. What condensation happens over the years has been sitting with just partial, but the fuel's good looking, still nice and green, and smells good like diesel fuel. So we're going to go ahead and run that stuff. And looks like there's only maybe 10-15 gallons in there, and that goes along with what I thought we did by pressure washing the fuel tank and drying it out and then putting some fuel in. So that's good. We've run a temporary new suck line. I went to get one made today. I didn't have any of the fittings, and so we ended up having to use some race car stuff with aluminum fittings, and that's a no-no on semi trucks for some reason, even though Trisha's had those lines and those fittings for 3 years now. But anyways, we got a new hand pump. We're fixing to replace the return line to the tank because there's a short in this one. It comes to here, and we need to go back to there. It's about 35 inches short. So we got one made today. It's not the way I like it, but it'll do. And we'll go ahead and get this one unwound from there, get the new one put in, and then run that return line back to the fuel tank. So yeah, we'll just keep after it. Hey, I'm back with you. So what I'm going to show you isn't going to look like a lot got done, but this stuff is slow and tedious, and so let's get a look at it. All right, so first thing I did was drop a good zip tie on the ground. But anyways, so we sorted some of that stuff, and this hose up there, we're not sure what that went to, so we're gonna have to find it inside. We blew around in it and looked for some gauge movement up inside, but nothing happened. This one here we did locate was the oil pressure, and we hooked it up right there, and we eliminated the one that was going around to the back. And then we did find this one here was the boost gauge. And I completely did that wrong. Ha! That's funny. Yep, I sure did. I hooked the boost gauge to the oil pressure gauge. Well, ain't that special. So we'll get that one back out, and we'll get this one disconnected and plugged in. That's crazy. We'll do that right now. But anyhow, I'll just show you we did this fuel line. We've got that in there. We've got both the feed line and the return line. We do need to change some of these other lines that go from this filter into that housing. Somehow it goes into this mess. And then, I don't know how. I don't really understand. It goes in and out of this filter into the pump. Out of the pump into this valve. Out of this valve into the head. Out of the head into the ECM. But it can't be. It has to go the other way. That's interesting. Anyways, we got those things cleaned up. We do have a drive shaft in. Got that done. We started cleaning up some of this stuff. We got to figure out what this is and get rid of it. It's likely going to be something, I don't know what it is. And again, we're gonna get rid of these air lines because we got one that goes into the dryer, but then we got one that comes out and goes to nowhere. So we'll have to figure that out. Yeah, lots to do, little to figure out. All right, so got it. Got this one unhooked, relabeled it boost. I don't know how I got that confused, but we got the oil pressure hooked up. That line's gonna need to be replaced, but I don't have any right now, so we'll have to get some. But that'll function for now. Fuel system is hooked up, except for the return line. We need a little bit of an extension. We got the positive negative cables run over to the batteries. Batteries are hooked up. We got the starter wiring hooked up, and it works from the solenoid. So as long as, and I know there's power going up into the which I really don't know how that is. How is it getting power? There's power to the truck's alternator wirings in there. The alternator wiring from the other truck is going to get taken out, but the truck wiring is in there and it works. But I just don't know where it's getting its power from. Because really it shouldn't be. So I'm a little concerned with where it's coming up with it, because this is the only hot wire right here. And I mean, there is a hot wire on the starter, but that's just the hot wire. I don't know what these are. We'll have to figure that out. Comes from up front. Let's see if those are hot or cold or anything. Stand by. I don't think I'll be able to get you to where you won't fall off the truck. Yeah. All right, so these wires are neither hot nor ground. So I'm assuming that's some sort of sender wire. So we'll probably, but it's pretty big gauge. I don't know. We'll have to look for a diagram, but they come from up front. So that means they come out of the cab someplace. So we'll have to get after figuring that out. We also got a mess of stuff over here. Wires and wires and wires and wires. And so what we're probably going to do with that is we'll probably cut all this loose, get rid of all these heater hoses and AC hoses, and clean this area up. We need new air hoses on the front. These are just about busted off. And we need to figure out how they do that one in there, because I need to do that one on Marla. I guess we'll cut the thing off and stick a socket on there, and then screw the one in there by hand, and then run it into this end, but I don't know. So let's go ahead and get all these hoses and AC lines right out of here and start with that. All right, guys, so pitch black, and I've been working on this thing, but let's give you a look. We'll see over my shoulder. See that right there. Let's talk about that. All right, so 50% of this is AC lines, and 50% of this is coolant lines, and we don't need either of those right now, because we have to redo the cooling system and the heating system inside of Crystal, and we've got AC and hot water lines in and out of the rear, and we'll deal with that another time. But what we wanted to do was get this area all cleaned up in here. We've got to put that bracing in. Yeah, we got to put that ground cable in, and we got to sort through this menagerie, this mess, if you will. we've got, this is a factory truck wiring, and this is a factory truck wiring, and this is a factory truck wiring. But these other strays down here are not. This mess right here used to be factory truck wiring, and we're gonna have to figure out what is where. And what we'll do is we'll take these factory truck wiring bits and we'll test them all and see what does what, and we'll sort through this garbage here. This is just some garbage somebody ran over here. This is what should have been run from one side to the other with the lights. As you can see, the only thing that's still hooked up is the ground, right? Everything else is torched off of there. And that plug came here, and I think that's some AC wiring. So we're gonna get to the bottom of what that is, and we're gonna figure it out. This wiring right here, we'll figure that out. This looks like it's some lights, and let me get you a little dimmer so you can see. It looks like this is some light wiring, and this bucket is bad, and the headlight panel is bad. We're gonna get those both fixed and put new buckets in there and new wiring for the headlights. That's all stuff we can do on a Saturday, you know, Saturday work day. Right now, what we're trying to do is get all these bits and pieces to the electrical system ready for when the wiring harness gets here for the ECM and the gauges, and then we'll get after getting that stuff sorted. Still don't know what these are. I'll figure that out. This looks like it used to go to either a gauge or a switch or something. We'll have to see what that is. We had a shunt in here, but it's just hooked to itself, so there's no reduction in the electrical. I need to figure out what Kenworth was trying to figure out there. I think the gauges are 6 volt. I don't know, and I think that was just to reduce draw off the battery, but I don't 100% know. But let's get some of this cleaned up, some of these loomed up, and cut off all the excess and all the garbage wiring, and get that brace installed and get that ground installed and disconnect those headlights, and so we can get after what those wires are involved in. Somewhere there's some wiring for the outside. We'll worry about all that later. We're gonna take we'll get our friends at Parts Sam a call, and we'll get some new lighting for this truck. I'm super interested. I'm gonna try and get this headlight panel fixed myself. It'll be my first attempt at some real fiberglass repair. And then we got to get after this roof cap. We got a repair to do there. We got some cracks in between the got some cracks in between the window that need to be repaired, and then the whole roof cap is kind of funky and busted up there. So we'll take that visor off, we'll get that sanded down, we'll get that fixed too. We may have to bring in some help. We'll see how that goes. She's got a lot of corrosion and a lot of body work that has to be done, but we'll get after it. First things first, let's get this drivetrain dialed in. Once we get the engine, cooling system, everything working, functioning, then we're going to get back here. We're going to try and find some new rear ends. All right, guys, so we got that mess cleaned up. We got those hoses in a group. We're not really sure how it's going to be. We got to get some of the proper fittings here. We want the stuff to come in at a different angle and have those hoses loomed up. So that, you know, we took all this stuff off of this truck and ran it to get Marla, and then put all this stuff back on the truck, and it's not where it's supposed to be. These hoses are all kinds of not in the right place and not going around the right thing and not clipped to the right stuff, and so we got to take care of all that stuff. We're going to keep getting after it, but that spot looks a lot better, right? Yeah, I think so too. All right, guys, so I'm super excited. I've been waiting around all day, been doing busy work, waiting for something good to come, and I don't know if you can see it there, but you see that wiring harness. That wiring harness is the engine to cab wiring harness that I bought from Precision Harness, and it's supposed to be plug and play. It looks like it's gonna be, and we're gonna get after it. I can't really show you this job because it's just me standing in front of wiring and moving it and tucking it, and there's really not nothing I can show you on it, but I will show you this. All right, so this get up here is all of the electrical plugs for all the switches and gauges, and then it's very long. It comes back, it's going to come down through that hole in with all that wiring and come down to here and plugs into the engine side or the truck side of the wiring harness. We have to find a place to mount this circuit breaker panel. We'll make a little bracket probably that hangs off of here, and it'll be right here protected, and or moved in here somehow and protected. But either, we've got lots of little things to do. We got AC and you know, compressor and fan and all kinds of wiring to run yet, and these will come up around the engine and go up across the top of the engine, AC compressor, and this will run over to the battery, and we'll probably tuck those down and run them with that other one. And then you know, we got this and that, different this and that. This is a we got a lot to do, and I don't want to be just standing in your way. And I'll bring you back as I get a little bit done, as I get the wiring harness up into the truck. Then I'll show you how that looks up in there. All right, guys, so sun's starting to tuck away, starting to get a little chilly out. We did just get the wiring harness up into the cab, and got some things ready to go for tomorrow. Now I've got quite a bit of small wiring to do tomorrow, but it's all I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm not relocating anything. All I'm doing is running wiring. I get about 6 things to wire in on the dash, and I got to find a clutch switch for Kenworth, get that wired in, get the fuel pedal out, put in the electric pedal, wire that in, wire some positive negative into the battery, and should be able to turn the key and fire it up. Main harness down there with the rest of it, and it's up here with the rest of it, and then we had to do a new hole in the floor, and that was because no matter what we did, we could not get enough space in the factory hole. So what I'll do is I'll cut a square, and I'll squeeze some rubber in there and stuff it through the hole, and then zip screw that square to the floor. And then underneath we'll just put some zip ties around it like a gooseneck, something like this, but real nice. And we're gonna open this stuff up, and we're gonna tuck this back in there where it belongs and zip tie it all in there, and it'll be down through. We'll take this off and we'll put a new one on, and we'll close up all this wiring, but we left enough to do that with, and it's gonna look good. It's gonna look better than it does because I'm gonna enclose all of that into a rubber sleeve. We'll get some inner tube and we'll slit it and wrap it around there, and it'll look really nice. All right, guys, so continuing on, these are the things we've done. We removed the old Kenworth foot feed, and that's gas pedal for your Laban. Foot feed's what you call, and you feed the fuel to it. So we just got done putting the Williams controls electric pedal in and snapping the wiring harness on, and just got done wiring the hot in the ground to the ECM, and it's just waiting on this fuse for that to be hot. And then we've got some more things that we need to wire up. We got AC high pressure. We've got coolant level, and we have fan solenoid. Fan solenoid's right here. I'm not sure. It's weird. Looks like there's a ground here and a hot here, and this hot goes over to something over there. I'm gonna get up in the truck, and then if the computer goes on and off, I'm going to bump it. I believe it's in neutral. Brakes are locked. Hopefully we don't get doing anything exciting. Let's just give it a look. do have oil in the engine, so we don't have to worry about this key anymore being locked out. All right, we're gonna get off and look just to see what's going on. I don't see anything happening down here leak-wise. I know we don't have fuel, so I'm not expecting it to fire up. And see if we can get fuel out the return line. It's one thing we didn't want to do is start that thing. We'd have been flowing fuel like crazy. All right, let's see. All right, let's see what happens. Not even sure what to say here because I don't know what's supposed to be happening. Yellow lights on, yellow lights off. Okay, well this is empty. That won't work. I don't think the key is on. Well, we're going to need to get a fuel pressure gauge because we've got to get to the bottom of why this thing won't just take off by itself sometimes. I'm going to do it again. Will it start? Yep. Do I like it? Yeah. I mean, you know, it was relatively simple. Still a lot to do. Make a bracket, hang this off of. It's nice that this is actually running. So that means that the electrical on, off, all that stuff's working. You know, we need to get some ties and some stuff and brace up these fuel lines. We need to extend the return line, put it in. It is returning fuel, that's good. I don't know, I think this ECM needs to be further away from the engine, so we'll spacer that out and shove some insulation behind it, because I think we don't want it to get as hot as it's going to get where it's at. And it's a little bit of grease that I missed when I scrub-a-dub this thing, but it's fine. We're gonna space this out. We're gonna just finish the wiring. Now that thing starts and runs, we'll get a new filter. Hopefully this thing is gonna keep its prime. We might end up with a new pump, and but we're gonna see. We'll see what it looks like. We'll get a fuel pressure gauge. We have a pressure gauge up there, but I don't know what runs it, so we'll get that figured out, and then we'll get the fuel pressure hooked up. And what else will we do? Well, just everything. We're gonna do everything. We'll get all the wiring done. We'll finish the wiring, and you know, maybe we got to get the transmission cooler lines and cooler installed. We'll do that. We got to get a bucket of oil for that yet. We do need to put the radiator in, so there's a lot of stuff we got to do. We may do the radiator next. Get this cab all the way up, get the radiator in. Start plumbing that in, get the cooling system filled up, because we don't want to run this thing without coolant for very long. And but yeah, baby steps. Can get in, turn the key, start it up. That's nice. We'll hook up the air and see how that works, and we'll just keep going. So guys, that's it for today. So I did get done what I wanted. Does key, crank, start. I don't like a lot of the stuff, but you know what, it's fine. Tomorrow I'll put the cab all the way forward, try and rig up an extension boom, get the radiator and get it in there, and get that thing mounted up and create that top bracket, get the cab so it opens and closes around it, and then start working on getting the plumbing done. I think we're super close. Did have an oil leak in the front cover. May still have. Man, I think I need to maybe run it a little bit more. I mean, it's not going to be any harder with the radiator on. But I may have to put a peanut cover gasket on it. And it may have just been leaking because I had that bowled out. But either way, I can do that while it's in the truck, while the radiator's in there, and I can change that fuel pump if I need to. The fuel pump just it's losing prime somewhere. I'm not really sure where yet. I don't know. But anyhow, turn the key, start, runs. So we're almost there. Cooling system, hot and cold charge air. Drive shaft shortened. Exhaust, you know, the standard stuff. Got to get some of the gauges inside working. I got to wire in the speedometer and the tachometer. Those are, you know, no big deal. I just got to figure out the wire that it's going to take and go from there. Find the signal wires and splice into them with the stuff from the ECM, and bing bang boom, Bob's your uncle. So anyways, like, comment, subscribe.